What if the only thing standing between you and the life you dream of is you? Not your circumstances, not your background, not your failures, just your belief or lack of it.
Imagine this.
A young man, rejected by 27 publishers, keeps writing. Everyone says, "You're wasting your time." That man, Stephen King, his first novel, Carrie, became a global sensation. Now ask yourself, was it talent alone? Or was it his refusal to stop believing in himself? Here's the truth. No one tells you. The world doesn't reward doubt. It rewards belief. Self-belief. In a world filled with noise, pressure, and perfectionism, the ability to trust yourself is not just rare, it's powerful. It's what pushes ordinary people to do extraordinary things. People who were told you can't and quietly responded, "Watch me." But here's the twist most don't see coming. Self-belief isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And in this video, you'll learn how. We're not just throwing around motivational fluff. This isn't a pep talk in disguise. This is based on real psychological research, powerful personal transformations, and habits that have changed lives quietly behind the scenes. We're diving deep into the 10 ways you can start believing in yourself today and begin achieving things that even your past self would never have imagined. You'll discover how Olympic athletes trick their minds into confidence, how visualizing your success changes your brain on a physical level, how using your own name while talking to yourself can increase self-control and mental focus, and why failing, yes, failing, might be the best thing that ever happens to you. You'll find out why stepping out of your comfort zone is not just motivational jargon, but a biological necessity for growth. Why your body language might be lying to your brain, and why the people around you, yes, even quietly negative ones, are either lifting you or quietly pulling you down. These are not just ideas, they are tools. They work silently, like seeds planted in your mind. You won't even notice at first, but over time, belief grows, confidence grows, action grows, and with action comes achievement. But here's the catch. Most people never learn this. They get stuck in loops, self-doubt, overthinking, fear. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect version of themselves. And life just passes. That won't be you. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with 10 practical proven strategies to start building unstoppable belief. Whether you're chasing a dream, healing from a setback, or just trying to be a better version of yourself, these steps will show you how to unlock what's already inside you. Because here's a little known truth. You don't need to become someone else. You just need to believe in the person you already are. So, are you ready to take that first step? Let's begin this journey together. Welcome to Narrative Society, the place where stories shape minds and mindset shapes reality. If you're ready to grow, transform, and achieve things that once felt out of reach, make sure to hit that subscribe button and don't forget to tap the bell so you don't miss the next story that could change your life. Let's dive in. Before we talk about the how, let's understand the what. What exactly is self-belief? People often confuse it with self-confidence, but they're not the same. Self-confidence is how you feel about your ability to do something in the moment. It's situational. It can change depending on the task, your energy, even your mood. Self-belief, on the other hand, runs deeper. It's the quiet inner voice that says, "I can handle it. I may not have all the answers now, but I trust myself to figure it out." It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's often calm, but it stays with you when everything else falls apart. Self-belief is the foundation. Confidence is the surface. Albert Bandura, one of the most influential psychologists of our time, called it self-efficacy. He said, "It's not about believing things will be easy. It's about believing that you can influence the outcome, no matter how hard things get. That even if things don't go your way, you have the power to adapt, learn, and try again." It's the belief that your actions matter. And here's something surprising. Self-efficacy doesn't come from praise. It doesn't come from people telling you you're amazing. It comes from experiences, from facing challenges and overcoming them, from remembering that time you thought you couldn't, and then you did. In one of Mel Robbins' talks, she said something profound. "You're never going to feel like it." That's the truth. Most people wait for the feeling. They wait to feel ready, to feel confident, to feel strong. But what actually changes your life is action, even when you don't feel like it. Self-belief grows from action, not the other way around. And that brings us to our first practical tip. Start small. Build momentum. You don't need to leap off a cliff. You just need to take one step, then another, then another. Think of self-belief like a muscle. You wouldn't go to the gym for the first time and try to lift 300 pounds. You'd start small. You'd train. You'd show up consistently. And over time, you'd get stronger. The same applies here. Pick something tiny. Something so small, it almost feels silly. Like making your bed every morning. Drinking a full glass of water first thing after waking up. Writing one paragraph a day. Going for a 5-minute walk. Finishing one task before checking your phone. Why does this matter? Because every small win sends a message to your brain. I follow through. It's not the size of the task. It's the consistency of action. There's a reason successful people often talk about routines and habits. It's not because they love structure. It's because those tiny repeated actions create undeniable evidence. Evidence that you can rely on yourself. Evidence that you are in control. James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, puts it perfectly. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. When you keep promises to yourself, even small ones, you cast a vote for self-belief. And here's a little secret. The brain loves progress, even tiny progress. Dopamine, the feel-good chemical, isn't just released when you achieve something big. It spikes when you move toward a goal. That's why crossing something off a to-do list feels good. That's why completing a single push-up can give you a little boost. Momentum builds. One small win leads to another. And before you know it, you're doing things you never thought you could. There's a story about a young woman who wanted to run a marathon. She had never run in her life. She didn't start with a 10K. She started by walking for 5 minutes around her block. That's it, 5 minutes, every day. Then she added 1 more minute. Then, 2. Weeks turned into months. Walks turned into jogs. Jogs turned into runs. A year later, she crossed that finish line. It wasn't about talent. It wasn't about natural ability. It was about stacking small wins. Each win whispered, "You did that. What else can you do?" This strategy works even when you're struggling. Especially then, when your energy is low, when you feel overwhelmed, when doubt creeps in and tells you, you can't. That's when one small action can flip the script. And the beautiful part? It becomes addictive. You start looking for more small wins. You start trusting yourself. And with trust comes belief. And with belief, almost anything is possible. We often think we need big breakthroughs, lightning bolt moments, but real change, real confidence, it's built in the quiet daily grind, in the decisions no one sees, in the victories that feel too small to matter, but they do. So before we dive into the next tip, ask yourself this. What's one small thing you can do today? Something simple. something easy to win. Then go do it, because every step counts. Every win stacks. And every moment you choose action over fear, you build the foundation of something unshakable. Before change ever shows up on the outside, it begins quietly on the inside, with the words you tell yourself. Tip number 2 is to change the way you speak in your mind. Positive self-talk isn't just a feel-good trend. It's a neurological tool. Every thought you repeat wires your brain a little more. If you're constantly thinking, "I'm not good enough," your brain starts to treat that sentence as truth. It becomes a script, a mental track you play over and over until it's hard to hear anything else. But you can rewrite the script. Start by catching those negative patterns, the small one, the quiet whispers. "I can't do this. I'm always messing things up. I never get it right." Now imagine replacing them with just one word. Can't becomes can. Never becomes sometimes. I always fail becomes I'm still learning. And here's where it gets interesting. Research from the University of Michigan found that when people talk to themselves in the third person, they make better decisions under stress. Instead of saying, "I'm scared," say, "You've got this, your name." That small shift creates emotional distance. It allows your brain to treat your fear like a puzzle to be solved instead of an identity to accept. Imagine saying to yourself, "You've done hard things before. You'll get through this." Suddenly the pressure lowers, the storm quiets. You step out of your thoughts and into your power. There's a reason top athletes do this. They don't just talk to themselves, they coach themselves in the mirror, on the track, before big games, out loud. They're not waiting to feel confident. They're programming confidence. Mel Robbins often says, "You can't control the first thought, but you can control the second. That second thought, that's where the battle is won." Affirmations work not because they are magic, but because they repeat messages your brain starts to believe. But here's the key. Affirmations must feel believable. Instead of saying, "I'm perfect," which your mind might reject, say, "I'm improving every day." That's believable. That's powerful. Use statements like, "I'm becoming someone who follows through." "I'm learning to trust myself." "I can figure this out." Say them out loud. Write them down. Put them on sticky notes. Repetition is how the brain learns. That's how habits are formed. That's how beliefs take root. Now let's move to tip number 3, visualization. This isn't about fantasy. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about showing your mind the possibility of success before it happens, because the brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality. When you vividly imagine doing something well, your brain begins to fire as if you're actually doing it. Émile Coué, a French psychologist in the early 1900s, developed a technique called autosuggestion. He told patients to repeat a simple line every day. "Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better." And over time, he noticed something strange. People actually did. Their health improved. Their confidence grew. Their outlook shifted. Coué believed that imagination is more powerful than willpower. If you see yourself failing over and over, no amount of willpower can override that image. But if you see yourself succeeding, if you practice that image daily, the body starts to follow the mind. Today, athletes, CEOs, public speakers, they all use visualization. Before a tennis match, Serena Williams imagines each serve. She sees it landing exactly where she wants. Before a keynote, a speaker walks through every moment in their mind, the introduction, the crowd, the message. They mentally live the success before they physically create it. You can do the same. Picture yourself walking into the interview calm and prepared. See yourself hitting publish on that project you've been afraid to share. Visualize speaking up, standing tall, smiling afterward. Feel the pride, the confidence, the calm. Repeat that scene every day. The more you visualize success, the more your mind starts to believe, this is who I am. And once your identity begins to shift, your actions follow. There's a study that showed basketball players who visualized free throws improved almost as much as players who physically practiced. Why? Because mental rehearsal fires the same neural pathways. It builds memory, reflex, and belief. And the best part? You don't need hours. Just a few minutes of focused, detailed imagining. The key is to make it vivid. Use your senses. What does success look like, sound like, feel like? Bring it to life. It's not about tricking your brain. It's about training it. Training it to focus on what you want instead of what you fear. Combined with self-talk, visualization becomes a powerful loop. You tell yourself, I can do this, and then you see yourself doing it. You feel the outcome in your body. And slowly, your belief starts to catch up. This is how belief is built. Not in one day, but in tiny daily moments. What you say, what you see, what you expect. When you begin to speak kindly to yourself and imagine yourself rising above, something shifts. Doubt weakens. Fear quiets down. The version of you that already exists under the surface begins to emerge. Not loud or dramatic, but steadily, like dawn breaking through the dark. Comfort zones are cozy, predictable, and safe. But they're also traps. Nothing truly extraordinary grows in a place where everything is familiar. The moment you stretch outside what's comfortable, you begin to build new muscles, mentally, emotionally, and even physically. This is where real confidence starts to form. Every time you do something slightly scary, something that makes your palms sweat just a little, you show your brain that fear doesn't mean danger. It just means new, and new is where you grow. Taking small risks every day changes how you see yourself. You go from, I can't handle this, to I've done something like this before. It might be as simple as speaking up in a meeting, trying a new skill, or going somewhere alone. These aren't massive leaps. They're micro-bravery. The Guardian once highlighted a story of a man who took on a 30-day challenge to do something uncomfortable every day. Nothing huge, just daily nudges out of his routine. By the end of the month, he didn't just feel more confident, he saw himself differently. Not as someone who was fearless, but as someone who could act despite fear. That's the magic. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's movement with fear riding along. Psychologists call this exposure. The more you expose yourself to small stressors, the less power they hold. Confidence builds through repetition and resilience. Forbes even noted how high-performing leaders regularly place themselves in unfamiliar settings, not because they love discomfort, but because they've learned to grow from it. They've learned that nerves are a signal, not a stop sign. Try this. The next time you hesitate, pause and ask, what's the worst that could realistically happen? Then ask, what's the best that could come from it? Most of the time, the gain far outweighs the fear, and even if you don't nail it the first time, you still win. You still took the step. You still prove to yourself that fear doesn't define your limits. But what happens when stepping out doesn't go as planned? What if you fail, stumble, or make a mistake? This leads to the next tip, practicing self-compassion. We often hold ourselves to impossible standards. A single mistake becomes proof in our minds that we're not good enough. One awkward conversation turns into a character flaw. We replay failures like broken records and skip past successes like background noise. But the truth is, everyone falls. Everyone fumbles. It's not the mistake that breaks us. It's the harsh voice that follows. Self-compassion is not self-pity. It's not making excuses. It's treating yourself with the same kindness and patience you'd give a friend. If someone you cared about made a mistake, you wouldn't scream at them or replay their faults in slow motion. You'd remind them of what they've done right. You'd encourage them to try again. That's exactly how you should treat yourself. Dr. Kristin Neff, one of the leading researchers on self-compassion, discovered that people who are kind to themselves are more likely to bounce back from setbacks. They don't spiral into shame. They don't freeze in fear. They learn, adjust, and try again. That's resilience, not perfection. Forgiveness is part of growth. The faster you forgive yourself, the quicker you can move forward. The moment you say, "It's okay to not get everything right," you unlock a deeper layer of confidence, the kind that isn't based on being flawless, but on being whole. PositivePsychology.com outlines how self-compassion boosts emotional intelligence, reduces anxiety, and strengthens motivation. When you're not afraid of your own judgment, you're more likely to take chances. You're more likely to innovate, explore, and recover. Think of it like this. Confidence without compassion is brittle. It breaks under pressure. But confidence built on self-kindness bends, heals, and returns stronger. Try speaking to yourself the way a mentor or a wise friend would. Use phrases like, "This doesn't define me," or "Everyone struggles. This is part of the process," or simply, "I'm still learning." These small reminders soften the harsh edges. They bring you back to the present and keep you from drowning in regret. There's also power in reflection. After a mistake, ask yourself what you've learned, not what you lost. Write it down. Track your growth. See your missteps as stepping stones. Every successful person you admire has failed, often more than once, but they didn't stop. And what helped them continue wasn't just belief in success, but belief that they were worthy of another chance. So, stretch out of your comfort zone. Chase the unfamiliar. Let discomfort be your compass. And when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, meet yourself with compassion. Forgive quickly. Speak gently. Start again. This is the real path to belief. Not perfect performance, but consistent courage and unconditional kindness. Confidence isn't something you stumble upon. It's something you create. One brave act and one kind word at a time. Champions often say their success begins long before the game starts. It begins in the locker room, in the mirror, in the silence of a pre-game ritual. Rituals prepare the mind for performance. They quiet the noise, reduce anxiety, and focus attention. It's not superstition, it's preparation with purpose. Preparation isn't just about the task ahead. It's about training your brain to expect effort, not perfection. When you create a ritual before a challenge, whether it's a test, a speech, or a meeting, you tell yourself, "I am ready. I am focused. I have done this before." Take a moment to think about your own life. What do you usually do right before something stressful? Do you panic scroll your phone? Do you rehearse every possible failure in your mind? That's also a ritual, just one that works against you. Now imagine replacing that with a focused, calming routine. 5 minutes of deep breathing, repeating one powerful phrase, reviewing your notes, straightening your posture, drinking water, visualizing a steady, grounded version of yourself. These small rituals tell your nervous system, you're safe, you're prepared, You've got this. Time magazine once covered how Olympic athletes and top executives use personalized rituals not to eliminate nerves, but to guide them. The point is not to kill fear, but to lead it. When the body follows a familiar path, the mind calms down, the uncertainty shrinks. You focus less on the outcome and more on the process. And that shift from outcome to effort is everything. Because when you chase outcomes, you invite fear. But when you commit to effort, you take back control. Rituals anchor you in the present. They make the unfamiliar feel known. They give your brain a framework to operate inside. It's no longer, I hope I do well, but this is what I do. Repeating that process builds confidence. The process itself becomes your comfort zone, even if the situation is new. This connects to another powerful tool, self-modeling. Think of the last time you saw someone like you do something amazing. Maybe it was on TV. Maybe it was someone close to you. Whatever it was, something clicked in your mind. If they can do it, you thought, maybe I can too. That moment is self-modeling, but there's an even deeper version of it. It's called video self-modeling. And here's how it works. You watch yourself succeed. It sounds strange at first, but the concept is backed by cognitive science. Self-modeling involves recording yourself performing a task successfully, even if it's just a small part of the task, and watching that footage regularly. The brain responds not just emotionally, but neurologically. It starts mapping that behavior as normal, repeatable, and achievable. Children who struggled with reading showed improvement after watching videos of themselves reading well. Athletes improved their form and focus. People with social anxiety gained confidence by watching themselves handle conversations calmly. When you watch yourself succeed, you rewire how you perceive your own abilities. It's more than visualization. It's evidence. You're showing your brain, look, you've done it. You can do it again. A report from Cornerstone University highlights how teachers use self-modeling to help students feel more confident. They capture moments of success, even brief ones, and play them back over time. The results are often dramatic. Why? Because the brain responds differently when it's you on the screen, not someone else. This technique has quietly changed how therapists help clients overcome fear and hesitation. And it's not limited to extreme cases. Even in everyday life, video self-modeling can be your private tool for progress. Record yourself giving a short talk. Watch how you stand, how you speak. Notice what works. Capture moments when you're calm and focused. Replay them before your next challenge. Let that version of you become your internal coach. This isn't about pretending to be someone else. It's about reinforcing the parts of you that already shine, so you remember they exist when doubt shows up. The mind believes what it sees, so show it the truth. Show it that you've already succeeded, even in small ways. Stack those images, replay them, let them become your mental movie. In moments of fear, your mind will search for reference points. Self-modeling gives it something solid, something proven, something personal. Rituals set the stage. Self-modeling plays the story. Together, they form a loop of preparation and proof. And over time, that loop becomes your baseline. You'll stop entering challenges wondering if you'll survive. You'll start showing up knowing you've already succeeded before. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not always visibly, but enough to believe in the next moment. Confidence isn't about removing every obstacle. It's about showing up with a mind that's been trained to focus, a body that remembers calm, and a memory that sees proof of your power. That's what rituals and self-modeling give you. Structure and evidence. And with that, you don't need luck. You don't need to wait for the right moment. You carry the right moment within you because you've prepared for it and you've seen it already. There are moments when the way you hold your body tells a louder story than the words coming out of your mouth. You might not notice it, but your posture is always speaking to your brain. It's shaping your mood. It's influencing your thoughts. And yes, it's quietly building or breaking your self-belief. Power posing, though debated, has stirred conversations for years. It's the idea that standing or sitting in a confident, open position, even when you don't feel confident, can signal strength to your brain. Think of standing tall, chest open, arms raised, feet firm, the way superheroes stand before they leap, the way leaders walk into a room when they know they belong. Amy Cuddy's famous research at Harvard suggested that just 2 minutes in a power pose could lower cortisol, increase testosterone, and boost confidence. Critics debated the science. Replications brought mixed results. But the core idea stayed: your body affects your brain, and millions of people, regardless of the academic back and forth, tried it and felt a shift. Why? Because posture is a feedback loop. When you slump your shoulders, look down, and make yourself small, your mind begins to reflect that story. I'm uncertain. I'm tired. I'm hiding. But when you roll your shoulders back, lift your chin, and take up space, a different signal fires. I'm here. I'm steady. I'm ready. Actors know this well. Before they walk onto stage, they stretch tall, they breathe deep, they ground themselves. Not because it changes the world, but because it changes their world. You don't have to be on stage to use this. You can do it before a job interview, a phone call, a new conversation, even just before writing something important. It isn't magic, it's physical anchoring. And over time, when repeated often, your body becomes a tool, not just a container for doubt. Look in the mirror while standing in a strong pose. Not aggressive, not exaggerated, just solid, grounded, shoulders down, neck long, eyes forward. Take 3 slow breaths. Your body remembers that. The next time you face a challenge, it replays that message. It tells your brain, this is familiar, you've done this. You are this. Power posing might not change your hormones instantly, but it can change your focus, and that is a powerful beginning. But body language isn't enough on its own, because belief, no matter how deep, can crumble in isolation. Human beings are wired for connection, and often the loudest voice shaping your confidence isn't your inner critic, it's the voices around you. That's why who you surround yourself with matters more than you realize. Think of a moment when someone believed in you before you believed in yourself. Maybe a teacher who said you had potential, a friend who reminded you of your strengths, a parent who didn't give up on you. Those moments plant seeds, sometimes small, sometimes invisible, but with time, they bloom into belief. Supportive people don't just offer kind words, they offer mirrors, reflections of what's possible when doubt clouds your view. They say, I've seen you do hard things. They say, you handled that better than you think. They don't inflate you with false praise. They remind you of your real strength. And when you fall, because everyone does, they don't shame you for slipping. They sit with you. They listen. Then they nudge you to rise again. Psychologists have long studied the effect of social environments on self-esteem. The results are clear. People who spend more time around encouraging, compassionate, and constructive individuals tend to believe in themselves more. They take more risks. They bounce back faster. They feel seen. But the reverse is also true. If you're surrounded by constant criticism, by people who dismiss your ideas, by energy that drains you. It's like trying to grow in poisoned soil. No amount of inner pep talk can fully protect you from that. Eventually it seeps in. That's why you must be intentional with your environment. Not just physically, but emotionally. Find the voices that uplift, not flatter. Seek the energy that challenges, not competes. Build friendships based on growth, not gossip. Choose people who talk about ideas, not just problems. Create a space, virtual or real, where belief is a shared language. And when you can't find that. Be that. Be the person who encourages others, who says, "I believe in you," and means it, who holds space for others to step into their potential, because when you offer belief, it multiplies, and often it returns. In ancient cultures, tribes would gather around fires. Stories were told, victories shared, failures processed together. No one was left alone in their fear. No one was asked to believe in themselves in a vacuum. Today we need that same fire, just in new forms. A weekly call with a trusted friend, a mentor you check in with, a community online that aligns with your goals, a coach who sees what you can't yet. These are not luxuries, they are necessities in the work of building belief. Because belief grows faster in good soil, and we are all shaped by the voices we allow close. So use your body like a message to your mind. I am ready. I am steady. I belong here. And surround yourself with people who echo that message back when you forget. Self-belief is not a solo journey. It's a shared path, built through posture, through presence, and through people. Failure is not a period, it's a comma, a pause, a redirection, but not the end. Somewhere along the way, people began treating failure like a final verdict, a full stop that defines worth and limits potential. But in truth, failure is one of the greatest teachers you will ever have if you let it speak. The most successful people in history were not strangers to failure. They were its students. They didn't just face setbacks, they used them. Every mistake carved clarity. Every rejection sharpened focus. Every fall made the rise more certain. They didn't run from it. They sat with it, and then they moved forward. Thomas Edison once said, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His words weren't poetic optimism, they were reality. Behind every working invention, there were hours of frustration, dead ends, and doubt, but he understood something vital. Failure wasn't proof he was incapable, it was proof he was trying. Resilience doesn't appear out of nowhere. It grows in the soil of difficulty. It takes shape when you feel like quitting, but choose not to. When you fall and get up slower than before, but still get up. That's when belief strengthens, not in ease, but in effort. Psychologist Carol Dweck talks about the growth mindset. It's the belief that ability isn't fixed, that intelligence can grow, that effort leads to improvement. In this mindset, failure isn't a dead end, it's feedback. It's the process revealing what didn't work so you can try again. Better, the opposite. A fixed mindset sees failure as identity. I failed, therefore I am a failure. And that belief, that lie, freezes growth. When children are taught that mistakes are part of learning, they take more risks, they stretch further, they ask more questions. But when they're punished for getting things wrong, they begin to shrink, they chase safety, they avoid challenge, and that doesn't stop in childhood. It follows into adulthood. Many people avoid goals not because they're lazy, but because they fear failing in front of others. They fear embarrassment, judgment, disappointment. But avoiding failure also means avoiding growth. It keeps you in the known, the certain, the shallow end. True belief in yourself means knowing you'll stumble and still stepping forward. It means looking at failure not as an enemy, but as an inevitable part of every worthy path. Failure teaches patience. It humbles ego. It reveals what matters. And more importantly, it shows you where to adjust. Sometimes failure is life whispering, "Not yet," or "not this way." The mistake is not the problem. It's the story you attach to it. Imagine you try something new, a job, a project, a relationship, and it doesn't work. You can say, "I'm not good enough." Or you can say, "That version didn't work. What can I learn? What needs to change?" One question shuts you down. The other opens you up. Athletes review game footage not to feel bad, but to see, to notice, to improve. They study failure like scientists, not like victims. They detach shame and attach strategy. That's the difference. When airplanes crash, investigators examine every detail, not to assign blame, but to prevent future crashes. That's how progress happens, not by hiding failure, but by studying it with honesty and curiosity. The same goes for you. When something fails, sit with it, write about it. Ask, what went wrong? What did I assume? What did I ignore? What will I do differently next time? These questions turn pain into power. And let's be honest, some failures hurt deeply. They sting, they break routines, they bruise egos, they challenge identity, but they are survivable. And more than that, they are transformational. There's a Japanese art called kintsugi, the practice of repairing broken pottery with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, they're filled with beauty. The item becomes more valuable, not less. It carries a story, a history. It has failed and been made whole again. That's what failure can do. It can fill your cracks with wisdom, with experience, with deeper strength. It makes you relatable, humble, aware. Self-belief doesn't mean expecting perfection. It means trusting that even when you fall, you'll rise. That even if things break, you'll rebuild. And the second version will be stronger, clearer, more you. If you wait for a life without mistakes, you'll wait forever. If you define success as never failing, you'll always feel behind. But if you redefine success as learning, evolving, and continuing despite setbacks, you'll begin to see failure as essential, not optional. Think of the times in your life when you grew the most. Were they during calm, smooth seasons? Or were they forged in struggle, in discomfort, in moments that stretched your capacity? Failure strips away the unnecessary. It forces clarity. It introduces you to yourself. When you accept it, study it, and grow from it, you stop fearing it, and that's when you unlock a new level of self-belief. The kind that isn't shaken by outcomes. The kind rooted in process, in patience, in progress. Let failure speak. Let it guide. Let it remind you that every master was once a beginner. Every success story is built on edits, rejections, reroutes, and every day is a new draft. So fall, learn, rise, repeat. That's how you build a life worth believing in.